Hello again from Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, who once again left my cell phone on. Uh, Hello again from Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin, broadcasting from Rigel Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This show is about guns, related politics, and self-defense issues. Fired Up is on my website, Fired Up with Bob Irwin, as well as the American Guns and Glory Network, YouTube, and numerous other media. If your local internet provider doesn't carry Fired Up, ask them to do that. A new show is posted every Thursday at around 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Our audio feed is rebroadcast for radio listeners on the Nevada Talk Network. Check out KELY1230.com for the station in your part of Nevada. If you have questions or comments, you can send me an email to bob@firedupmail.com or leave a message on my office recorder, which is 702-257-1060. If you don't leave contact information, of course, I cannot call you back. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms each week in the United States, rarely truthfully or fully covered by mainstream media. I always select a few for each show for my listeners' education. Most are good shootings, some are questionable, some are just plain wrong, but all are educational for those of you that keep a defensive firearm in your home or carry one for self-defense in your vehicle or on the street. Individual incidents are generally adjudicated under local law, so the advice given here may not apply in the area where you live. Advice from a local gun-knowledgeable defense attorney is always recommended. Stories are often paraphrased for clarity by translation from police jargon, lawyer speak, and regional accents into more standard American English. Incidents here are as reported, but the names of individuals involved are deleted. The identification of the cops, the lawyers, and the media are generally used. This first story is not really about a shooting, but it's about something that came up just yesterday with some interesting comments from Facebook. Facebook Inc. said on Saturday it will ban advertisements for weapon accessories and protective equipment in the United States with immediate effect until at least 2 days after U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration on February 20th. That would be like today. They're going to stop doing this. Not so far. Anyway, following the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, the social media company said it will now prohibit ads for accessories such as gun safes, vests, and gun holsters in the United States. They said, we already prohibit ads for weapons, ammunition, and weapon enhancements like silencers, but we will now also prohibit ads for accessories. This was what Facebook said in their blog post. Comments here, that policy is advertised to prevent firearm violence. Restricting sales of gun safes sure makes it harder to store a gun where burglars cannot steal it. No holsters means you carry your self-defense gun in your pocket without the trigger covered. That can certainly cause accidents. Vests, I presume they mean body armor, are purely defensive. Restricting them makes it easier for criminals to murder business owners during robberies and residents during home invasions. This could become a permanent policy to restrict the human right to self-defense. We're going to run a commercial here for my latest book you can get on Amazon, and I'll be back in just a moment. My latest book, Self-Defense with Firearms, Use of Force in Nevada, is now available on Amazon Kindle for $4.95. You can download it now. It contains examples of dozens of shootings and pointing a firearm cases that I personally experienced in my 24 years in law enforcement, or where I testified in court or deposition as a firearm and use of force expert. The book is about the use of firearms in defense of yourself and others in my home state of Nevada. I have appeared as an expert witness in Nevada courts dozens of times, and that experience has shown me the necessity of putting pen to paper once again. Nevada state law as printed can be misleading to those of you who read it, as it is written in legal jargon, what I usually call lawyer speak. These statutes are also bent or even broken by the courts in their everyday decisions that we generally call case law. Those are rulings that say this or that statute does not apply in a particular incident and similar cases. That causes the law you are depending on when you make a decision to use your firearm only partially or not apply at all to your actions. Relevant Nevada statute numbers are included here and there, so readers may look up current wording on the Nevada State website. Teaching firearms in 28 law enforcement academies, including cadets from 26 different Nevada agencies, personally instructing over 30,000 concealed firearm permit students and 20,000 private security officers, I've discovered a lot of commonalities in deadly force incidents. Less than 100 pages, this book offers advice that can save lives and costs of expensive defense lawyers to reduce your losses in the inevitable civil lawsuits that follow these incidents. Get a copy, learn how to avoid, prepare for, and react to life-threatening situations. Yeah, the book is out. It looks like this in person. It's 100 and some odd pages, and you could probably read it in 2 or 3 hours. It would be worth getting. This is 50 years of knowledge put into a couple of 100 pages, or 100 pages. Okay, we are back. The CWB Chicago Citywide, a journalist named Elliot Scott, reported January 14, 2021 in Chicago, Illinois. Police responded to a call that Thursday after someone stole a flatbed tow truck operated by Chi-City Towing from the 7400 block of South Exchange Street. The company's owner provided police with its GPS coordinates, and police responded to the location. While police were on their way, the 22-year-old, this is the guy who had the truck, called 911 and said he stole the truck and he was upset because the owner pulled a gun on him. This was what an assistant state's attorney told Judge Charles Beach during this 22-year-old's bond hearing in court on Wednesday. Prosecutors said when the police found the truck, the defendant was in the driver's seat. He was taken into custody. The defendant called 911. Befuddled Judge Charles Beach asked prosecutors after hearing the allegations. The defendant interjected, "Yeah, right." His defense attorney quickly advised him that it's best not to talk about the charges in court. Judge Beach said he would allow the 22-year-old defendant to go home on electronic monitoring without requiring cash bail because he did not use a weapon during this incident. He called the police apparently on himself. The 22-year-old defendant is charged with aggravated possession of a stolen motor vehicle, misdemeanor theft, and driving on a suspended or revoked license. He didn't even have a driver's license to steal the truck with, I guess. He has absolutely no criminal history. Comments on this is, really? This young man stole a tow truck and is upset because the owner displayed a firearm to warn him off that he wants the legal owner of the truck prosecuted. What world is this guy living in? He cannot legally drive the property he took because he doesn't have a valid driver's license. The judge offered a deal because he did call to report the crime. I somehow doubt that he will appear for his day in court. This reminded me, when I'm reading this story, of a defendant coming into court asking me, I was working at the metal detector out front, if I think he needed a lawyer. When I checked the case sheet I have there to see who's who, I was reminded that he is there for his third DUI in less than 2 years. That is mandatory prison time, and he's asking me on the way in, should I get a lawyer? If you're appearing in court on something that you don't know what's going to happen, yeah, you need a lawyer. At least call one and tell him what's going on so he can advise you to either have a lawyer there, or he can say, no, just tell him this, I want a trial date or whatever, and I'll check with you later and see when you're scheduled. But never walk into court, especially on a criminal case, without an attorney. Foolish. Okay, story number 3. This is from WMBF News Reports, January 12th, 2021 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Officers were called to a shooting around 6 p.m. Monday in the 500 block of 34th Avenue North. That sounds like picturesque. Responding officers found 2 people hurt inside the home. Both were taken to the hospital, but one person succumbed to their injuries while the second person is expected to recover. The investigation showed the person who died had gone into the residence with the intent to commit an armed robbery. According to this statement by Myrtle Beach Police, the resident and the other person knew each other previously, and there was no evidence of forced entry into the home. During the armed robbery attempt, the deceased suffered a gunshot wound. The name of the person who was shot and killed has not been released yet. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Myrtle Beach Police Department. Their number is 843-918-1382. A few comments on this also. Opening your door when you cannot see who is there is sometimes a fatal error. If you cannot afford a camera or a Ring type system, that Ring doorbell system, at least place a small mirror somewhere that allows you to view the area in front of your door. As a last resort, if you cannot see who is there, yell through the door that you have the police on the way and will shoot if necessary. If you do not answer the door at all, criminals will presume the home is empty and just kick the door in or go around to the back of the residence to break in there. So the solution is not to make it look like an empty house. The solution is to yell at them that the police are on the way and tell them without being, I'm going to kill you if you come in. Don't say that, but just say, I have a firearm and will defend myself if you come in. It works. We're going to break here for a word from some of our friends and associates. I'll be back in just about a minute and a half. Don't go away. Freestyle Martial Arts, located at Jones and Russell here in Las Vegas. You can reach them at 702-551-9009. That's 702-551-9009. CCS Gunsmithing. Chris Eifelt, the man who does all the NRA help, he's at 2216 South Rainbow Boulevard near Sahara. He can be reached at 702-365-1732. Once again, 702-365-1732. Jerry Creed, a trust attorney. If you have a firearms trust or need one, this is your guy. You can reach Jerry at 702-806-7777. That is 702-806-7777. CCW Maggie is found all over the internet. You can reach her by phone at 702-375-5900. That's 702-375-5900. All sorts of firearms training, ladies only classes. She is the best of the best. Call CCW Maggie. And here I am again. Fourth story. This is from KABC TV 7, reporting January 19, 2021 in Hesperia, California. An incident happened early Monday morning when a family heard someone trying to break into their home. The homeowner ushered his wife and child into a closet for safety while he went to grab his own gun. When he came back to the front door, he could see the man pointing a gun. At that point, they both started shooting at each other through the door. The wild early morning shootout was caught on camera, and the suspect turned out to be a 39-year-old neighbor who lived nearby. They did not know each other or have any previous interaction. The two exchanged gunfire through the door for less than a minute before the 39-year-old suspect fled on foot, firing a shot at another home in the neighborhood as he ran away. A few minutes later, sheriff's deputies arrived and arrested the 39-year-old suspect in the same area. He was booked for attempted murder, shooting into an inhabited dwelling, attempted robbery, and, of course, felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition. The home was left with bullet holes in the walls and doors. The homeowner was armed with a 9mm, and from the bullet casings, investigators say it appears the intruder had a .22. Comments on this incident is really scary. Presumably the front door was not totally opaque, as the report said they could see each other. The sudden total violence. Had this home not been armed, the result could easily have been another headlining generating mass shooting. Again, if you cannot see who is outside, never, never, never open the door. Use some hard cover away from the door and issue your loud verbal challenge. That's just can't happen. Don't open the door. Bad. This fifth story is from KHOU TV 11, a CBS affiliate with journalist Doug Deloney, reported January 14, 2021 in Houston, Texas. A shooting happened on Houston's south side just before 11 in the evening. Police report a woman saw her ex-boyfriend following her vehicle, so she drove to her parents' home. When she pulled into the driveway, the ex-boyfriend pulled in behind her, blocking her in with his vehicle. The woman's father came outside with a pistol. The father told investigators the ex-boyfriend made a threatening move, so he opened fire. The ex was shot at least once and then got back into his vehicle and sped away from the scene. He stopped and called for an ambulance at the intersection of Airport and Cullen, if you happen to be from Houston. The ex-boyfriend was then taken to the hospital with a bullet wound to his hip. No names have been released and no charges had been filed as of early Thursday, as of today. But police say the man who was shot could face charges for violating a restraining order. Comments here. I can think of a few more charges than violating a restraining order, and I'm sure there will be. No court order is going to stop all domestic battery idiots that are out there. However, having the court order in place immediately shifts the investigation in the right directions. always obtain a protective order if that's possible. Otherwise, go to the local police and tell them in person what is going on, or call a trusted lawyer and ask what to do. There is always the possibility that the batterer will have a negative reaction to the order, and his reaction will be with violence. Obtaining a firearm, along with training and practice, is always an option. The training and practice part is really important. Story number 6. This is from, again, CWBChicago.com. This one is reported January 19, 2021 in Chicago. A security officer exchanged gunfire with a car thief in Chicago's Wicker Park area neighborhood. It's a trendy neighborhood, apparently. A Walgreens security guard exchanged gunfire Monday night with a man who stole his car. The guard, age 22, left his car running briefly while he ran into the store. It's at 1372 North Milwaukee Avenue, around 11:30 at night, according to a Chicago Department Police report. Police said in a media statement that is when the security officer walked back out, he saw someone driving away in his black 2017 Hyundai SUV. He then fired shots toward the car, and the auto thief returned fire. I hope you're following this. The guard told police the offender then got out of his stolen car, literally his stolen car, and climbed into the passenger seat of a black SUV waiting in the 1400 block of North Milwaukee Avenue. The thief ditched the security officer's car nearby. The offender fled, and the guard recovered his car. Chicago PD did not indicate what prompted the guard to fire his weapon, but the department said he is a concealed carry holder and no charges are pending. No one was struck by the gunfire. Comments here are: responding to a property crime with gunfire is always a risky thing to do. I cannot imagine a guy with security training as well as concealed carry training, both of which are required in Chicago, would react this poorly. I hope when the full story comes out that there are some details that will alter the way this story reads. An added note, when I looked up this Wicker Park area, it has been recognized as one of the hippiest, hipster neighborhoods in the country by several publications. You should look it up. It's a very hippie neighborhood, basically, where he is. And I'm sure it had the whole neighborhood really upset, because hippies don't usually like gunfire around their neighborhoods. We are almost out of time here. You can check out my recent shows at firedupwithboberwin.com. It contains several dozen episodes. Please patronize our friends and supporters. They're hurting like most businesses are. You can check out the disclaimer at the end of this show to understand more about how our policies and procedures. I'll be back next Thursday on my website, firedupwithboberwin.com, the American Guns and Glory Network, numerous other websites, television and radio station. Don't forget, when watching other media, just click on subscribe and new shows will be sent to your phone or computer automatically. My logo merchandise, hats and shirts and books are available at Battlefield Vegas. That is just behind Circus Circus on the Las Vegas Strip. If you are ever in Las Vegas, Battlefield Vegas is a must-see attraction. You can actually shoot a minigun or any of hundreds of firearms and even crush a car with an Abrams tank at their associated outdoor facility. They do provide transportation. You can contact info@battlefieldvegas.com. Thanks for watching Fired Up. I will be back next week. with more, especially on where we're going under the new Biden administration with all these executive orders that he just signed today and others. We're in for a rough couple of years, folks. See you next week. Attorney Donald J. Green, a common guest of mine on Fired Up. He can be reached at 702-409-8239. He specializes in gun case litigation. He is your man. Don Green, 702-409-8239. And Battlefield Vegas, my new kind of home for this show. They're on Circus Drive, directly behind the Circus Hotel and Casino. You can find them there with CCW classes and an amazing place for gun rentals, everything you could possibly imagine. Check out, if you're in town as a tourist, check out battlefieldvegas.com.